Hey, everybody. Coach Signs here. We are live. We are live. First of all, I want to welcome you guys. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. I know we are normally talking about Texas history on this channel, but we are going to start talking about, first of all, before we start, I usually like to do something different, right? Today, Tuesday, May 12th, right? Today's May 12th? Yes, May 12th, sorry. Today in Texas history, guys, okay? In 1889, in Fort Worth, the recently rebuilt Missouri Pacific Hospital was dedicated under its new name, St. Joseph's, right? And in 1930, the institution's name was changed to St. Joseph Hospital, okay? In 1903, the song Eyes of Texas was first sung. The performance took place at Hancock Opera House in Austin, right? And the minstrel show benefited the University of Texas track team, right? And this ends up becoming, guys, the song of UT, the University of Texas, right? The Eyes of Texas, right? In 1926, commercial aviation began in Texas with an inaugural flight, right, of air mail service between Dallas and Fort Worth and Chicago. So that was the first aviation commercial flight of Texas, right? Took mail from Fort Worth, Dallas area to Chicago. In 1942, northeast of Huntsville, construction began on German prisoner of war camp. Oh, there you go. Didn't know that. There's something new, right, in Texas history. And in 2003, in Texas, 59 Democratic lawmakers went into hiding over a dispute with Republicans over a congressional redistricting plan, trying to change which areas are going to represent which. So they went into hiding, guys. That was today in Texas history. All right, now I'm back on the comments. All right, hey guys, welcome everybody. Cody Bear, Isabella, Goozy. I don't know who that is, but Camila, hello. Andres, Mr. Kong. Yes, awesome. Ariel, welcome, buddy. Yes, I've gotten your work. Yes. Hi, Rachel. All right, guys. So today we're going back. We're going to go ahead and talk about the U.S. history part again, okay? We are going to be talking about English colonization, okay? Last week we went over the whole, can you guys hear me? Everybody can hear me okay? Everybody can hear me okay? Awesome. Okay, sounds like you guys can hear me, okay? Don't worry about it. All right, guys. So we're talking about colonization, right? Talking about colonization of essentially English colonization, right? So we're going to be like how we talked about it in Texas history. Texas history was talking about the Spanish, right? And how the Spanish did it. Now we're going to talk about the English, right? And how they decided to rival the Spanish. Okay, this is what Christopher Columbus is doing. How are we going to rival that? How are we going to essentially go up against our rivals, right? So if you're looking at your notes, please follow along with me, okay? That way you understand what's going on. Before we start the notes, though, I had a couple people send me a couple messages saying, hey, coach, I don't know where the words are. I don't understand this. Well, how come there's words missing? Guys, so you obviously know that the person narrating the video is not myself. It's another one of our teachers there at BL Gray. Excuse me. It's Coach Hernandez. So his videos, guys, for the 8th grade, he has made them a little bit different in the sense of that he may be talking, narrating, describing the lesson, but the word may not be on the screen. So what that method is, guys, is to make sure that you guys are not only listening, but paying attention. So he may say the word there. He may say the word, but it's not visually on the screen. So you guys are like, what? What do I do? It's actually there, guys. Just kind of take a step back. Maybe you have to rewind it, listen to it again, and it's there. It may not be on the screen. It may just be a picture, an image, right? But it's just kind of rewind it. Maybe go 10, 15 seconds back. Do that double click on if you're watching it on YouTube. Takes you 10 seconds back, and then you can listen for the word. I know I had a couple of the questions there. Hey, what's up, Steffi? Guerra, what's up, buddy? Hope you guys are doing okay. So we are looking at English colonization, right? So it starts off in 1607. A group of merchants formed what was called the Virginia Company to start the very first permanent money making English colony in America. Okay. And what these settlers did is they sailed to Virginia with one goal in mind, and that was to find that money, guys. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to find gold. The word is gold, right? I said money, but they wanted to find gold. Okay. Now, what did they do? They ended up settling Jamestown, okay? Because of native attacks that they had experienced, right? The settlers built a wooden fort for protection. They ended up calling it Jamestown, right? The Jamestown settlers never found gold, right? And in 1608, Captain John Smith, the same John Smith that you saw in Pocahontas, right? Took control and made every settler work for their food. It was either you work or you starve. It was one of the two options. You weren't just going to be sitting around and just kind of laying back and, oh, yes, bring me my food. No, you needed to work. If you did not work, you weren't going to get food. Okay. Meanwhile, while they're actually, they're trying to defend themselves from the natives that lived in that area, what ends up happening is while John Smith gets captured, while scouting for food, Smith was captured by the Powhatan Indians and brought to their chief, right? As Smith was about to be clubbed to death, right? Pocahontas, the chief's daughter, rescued him, right? Then she and him end up helping save Jamestown from by bringing them food and keeping peace with their people. A little backstory on Jamestown, right? So Jamestown, guys, what ends up happening is they get there, right? And they just think it's going to be easy, right? But essentially, it's not easy. It becomes very hard for them. It's so hard to the point where they have to end up killing rats. They have to kill their dogs to feed themselves, right? There was even one case that's recorded in history where a man ended up killing his wife and eating her because of how hungry he was. Right. There was also reports and journal entries of people eating shoe leather just to sheerly survive, guys. Right. So what ends up happening is John Smith ends up going on a hunting trip, right, on a hunting scouting expedition to try to find some food, and he ends up getting captured, right? Um, and then Pocahontas kind of sees that, hey, this guy doesn't essentially seem as bad as what others think. Pocahontas from Disney. Yes, exactly that one. Obviously, the Disney one is very, very not as historically accurate as you would believe, right? But it is somewhat accurate. Um, so what ends up happening is she ends up saving him, right? She says, "Hey, hold on, Dad, don't kill him. Let's work with them." So she, along with John Smith, are essentially get back to the camp. They give the food to the people, and they end up kind of rescuing Jamestown, right? And while that also is happening, they see another wave of settlers coming, right? So back to our notes, right? Jamestown, she helped Jamestown by bringing them food, keeping peace with her people, right? Another important man on Jamestown, right, was John Rolfe, right? A man by the name of John Rolfe. John Rolfe founded a crop that could be raised in Virginia and sold in England. And that was the crop of tobacco, okay? And you're like, tobacco? What does that have to do with this? Tobacco, guys, is a plant, right? Is something that is smoked, right? Is what is inside cigarettes and things like that, right? So what John Rolfe did, okay, is he had hired indentured servants to farm these fields, okay? And indentured servants, to kind of touch back on that, guys, was somebody who was looking to come to America and might have not had the money to get here. So what does he do? He signs up for to work, right, on the fields or whatever, whatever type of work they wanted. Signs up for maybe like a 5-year contract. Hey, sign up to work 5 years, and after 5 years, you get your freedom, right? So that was indentured servants. At one point in time, these people who had indentured servants were like, "Whoa, it's costing me way too much money to keep these people, right?" And then at the end of the day, they leave me. So what happens? So this is where you see the introduction of slaves come into the Americas, the North Americas, right? By 1619, if you're looking back at your notes, the first African slaves arrived in Jamestown to farm tobacco. This is where we see the dark side of history, right? Where people were being bought, traded, extorted, for the services, right? This is where we see the first introduction of African American or African slaves coming to America, and this is where they start working the fields, right? So what happens, right? They think about, okay, we need to be able to come up with a sort of government to kind of essentially run this town, right? Jamestown starts growing within the 20 years. That's within 20 years, right? About 10, 15 years. So in 1619, they come up with what's known as the House of Burgesses, right? Was established in Jamestown. And this is the first representative government body in the English colonies. This is the first time that they get together and say, okay, we need to kind of have a board, and how are we going to rule this area, right? How are we going to govern ourselves, right? The only thing was that this was not only was it the first, right, but it was an all-white men type thing. Like you had to be white and you had to have land to be allowed to vote. Okay, so this is the first part of trying to be in that government, in that representation, or even to vote, right? So that's in 1619, right? Well, they weren't the only people trying to come to England, right? Now you have what's called the Pilgrims, okay? The second group. A second English colony was established for religious reasons by a group of Protestant Christians known as Pilgrims. A group of pilgrims fled to the New World to escape what's known as religious persecution by the Church of England. Okay. So what was happening is in England, right, was the king was saying, hey, there's only going to be one type of religion and only one type of religion. And if you want to practice another religion, right, then you can't. You can only practice the one that we want to practice, right? So a lot of people were like, yo, that's not what I signed up for. I don't want to do that. It's like saying that if you are a Catholic, right, and the Catholic churches around the valley say, hey, everybody has to practice Catholicism. Well, there's a lot of different religions here in the valley. You have, you have your Christianity, right? Even though that's a bigger part, you have your Christians, you have your Baptists. You have a different, you have your Protestants, you have different types of religions that span all around, this area, and people would leave, and that's what happens here with these pilgrims. The Church of England tells them, hey, you can only practice this certain way. So they're like, okay, we're gone. We're going to America. We're going to the New World. All right, we're in a land where we could practice and serve God in whichever way we want to. Okay. So with that being said, right, on the ship there, right, in 1620, sailing aboard what was the Mayflower, right, they landed at Plymouth in present day Massachusetts. Okay. Before going ashore, the Pilgrims signed what was known as the Mayflower Compact, which established self-government in the Plymouth colony. That they weren't going to essentially listen to what was going on in England anymore. They were going to govern themselves and themselves only. Okay. The arrival at Plymouth. When the Pilgrims landed in Plymouth, they were welcomed by the Indians. These Indians taught them to farm crops, hunt, and catch fish. You know what, guys? I'll share with you guys a video that shows how these Indians, they knew different languages. Not only did they know, not only did they speak in their native language, right, of their Indian dialect, but some of these Indians also already knew French and English, because remember we talked about, maybe I might have talked about in the last video, but remember the Spanish were essentially exploring Mexico, what's present day Mexico and South America. Okay, the United States ends up exploring what is now today. The English explore what is now today the United States, and the French, right, the three main superpowers of the 14 and 1500s. The French decided to go north, and they end up exploring what is present day Canada. Okay, so that is why when these Frenchmen go north, they start communicating with these Indians, creating these trade routes, these natives, right? So a lot of these Indians end up learning French, end up learning English. So by the time these Pilgrims land, right, in the 1600s, some of them these Indians already know French and English, so they're able to communicate very well with them. So, and I'll send you guys a video, right, as to what I'm talking about and how they're able to get helped out, right, and with that, okay. So the next group of people that you have, right, are known as the Puritans, right? The Puritans landed in Massachusetts Bay in 1630. They also came to the New World to escape religious persecution, all right? These settlements of the Puritans and Pilgrims ended up merging, right, into a single colony of Massachusetts, okay? So they ended up coming together, right? They're like, hey, we're cool here, you're cool here, you're cool there. You're going to practice your religion, we'll practice ours. But you know what? Let's bond together in case something was to, kind of like go off or pop off. We can work together in that sense. And plus, we could trade with each other and we can communicate with each other. We can kind of like keep each other accountable as to see how you are and what's going on. Okay. All right, guys. Well, with that being said, that was chapter 1.2 to 1.3 video lesson going over English colonization. Okay. If you have any questions, right now would be the time to discuss, to ask away. That way we can answer them for you right now. I will be sending you guys the quiz immediately after this. That way you can take it, you can knock it out, and that way on Friday we'll be talking about it during our Google Meets. Okay. So if you have any questions right now, would be that's awesome for you guys to type them in. If not, guys, hey, that's all I have for you guys today. This was Coach Science with Chapter 2.1 2.3 English colonization. So this is Coach Science signing out.